After a crazy week 1, the second weekend of the college football season delivered some even crazier games. There were upsets, close finishes, and some wild back and forth games. There were so many great performances, it was tough to narrow things down. But here are my 10 winners from week 2 of the college football season. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I'll be posting college football videos all season, so make sure to subscribe if you're a college football fan. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. Also, drop a comment down below and let me know who you think the biggest winner was from this weekend. With so many games, maybe there was a team I forgot about. I'd love to hear which team impressed you guys the most. Although they lost, I have Texas as a winner this week. They hung with Alabama and lost by only 1 point. They played the Tide tougher than 99% of other teams we've seen over the past decade. If you watched my video from the game yesterday, I talked about all the ways Texas could have won this game. They came up short too many times and had to kick just too many field goals when one touchdown would have been the difference maker. There were also a number of questionable calls from the referees that didn't help as well. Overall, I was very impressed with the Longhorns, as I thought they were going to get blown out by Alabama. I was actually pulling for Texas to win, but this was a showing that they can certainly build off of as the season progresses. If you caught my video this week where I talked about the best games of the weekend, you might have heard me say that we need to keep an eye on Appalachian State on the road at Texas A&M. I said this was a team that could hang with the Aggies. Little did I know they'd actually win. I said if the Mountaineers would win this game, it would be because of the offense, but it was the defense instead that won the game for App State. They held A&M to only 14 points, with one of the touchdowns being a kick return touchdown. Texas A&M had only 9 first downs for the entire game, with only 185 yards of total offense. This was pure domination from the App State defense, and they're the ones who looked like the number 6 team in the nation. When thinking about shocking games, I don't think anyone was expecting this one. Marshall went into South Bend and stunned the Irish, beating them by 5 points. Had it not been for a last-second touchdown from Notre Dame, this would have been a much bigger victory for Marshall. The Thundering Herd were a 21-point underdog in this game, and this was their second ever top 10 road victory in program history. They took the lead late in the fourth quarter and capped it off with a pick 6 to put the game out of reach. I'm not certain what kind of season Marshall is going to have in 2022, but what an incredible way to start your season. This is easily the most surprising win of the entire college football year up until this point. Tennessee is now 2-0 on the season after a thrilling back and forth game with Pittsburgh. After they fell behind early in the game, the Volunteers fought back and secured the overtime victory. I talked about Tennessee a lot this season as a potential sleeper in the SEC. Up until this point, they look like they can make a legitimate run. Hendon Hooker had another solid showing as he threw for over 300 yards with 2 passing touchdowns. Cedric Tillman is one of the best wide receivers in the nation as he had an incredible game with 9 receptions, 160 yards, and the game-winning touchdown in overtime. What was most impressive for me was Tennessee's defense through the final 3 quarters of the game and in overtime. After they allowed a touchdown with 13 minutes left in the second quarter, they allowed only 10 points through the remainder of the game. All offseason, I talked about the Vols defense being the difference maker for them this year. We know their offense is one of the best in the entire country, but if their defense is able to step up the way they did in this game, they're going to be a legitimate threat in the SEC. I have Arkansas as a winner, not because of the opponent they beat in South Carolina, but because of the second straight solid outing they had. I talk about Tennessee being a team that's a threat in the SEC, but Arkansas is easily one as well. They dropped 44 points against the Gamecocks. KJ Jefferson was great yet again, as he had only 3 incompletions for the entire game. On the day, he totaled 230 yards with 2 touchdowns. Raheem Sanders had 2 touchdowns and 200 total yards for the game as well. The Razorbacks defense completely shut down their running game for South Carolina as they held them to only 40 yards on 29 rushing attempts. Drew Sanders had a hell of a game on defense as he recorded 11 tackles with 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a pass breakup, and a quarterback hurry. They couldn't get anything going, which was a bonus because that forced Spencer Rattler to try and be a good quarterback. It's been a great opening to the season so far for Arkansas. Don't look now, but the Pac-12 is putting together a quietly solid start to the season. Washington State went on the road and took down number 19 Wisconsin. It wasn't anything flashy, but the Cougars hung around and picked up the impressive victory. When taking a look at the box score, it's hard to even believe that Washington State won this game. For the day, they had only 10 first downs. They were 2 for 11 on third down attempts. They rushed for only 50 yards and had 3 turnovers. But somehow, someway, they managed to pull out the victory. After disappointing losses last week with Utah and Oregon, the Pac-12 has racked up some really impressive victories to begin the season, and this Washington State one is right near the top. For the first time since 1976 and 1977, the Kentucky Wildcats defeated the Gators in back-to-back seasons. After an impressive start to the season, the Wildcats went into the swamp to knock off the Gators with ease. After falling behind 16-7 early in the game, the Wildcats outscored Florida 19-0 to close out the contest, including holding the Gators scoreless over the final 35 minutes of the game. Will Levis threw for over 200 yards and had a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. What was most impressive from this game, though, was the Wildcat defense and how they limited Anthony Richardson. After a crazy Week 1 performance last week and climbing up the Heisman list, Richardson was shut down by Kentucky. He threw 2 interceptions and had 20 incompletions. He was also held to only 4 rushing yards after running all over Utah last week. Kentucky's offense did enough, but it was the defense that won the game for them. Yet again, we have another SEC team that we have to keep an eye on this year. After falling behind 14-0 early in the game, Kansas came from behind to defeat West Virginia 55-42 in a thrilling overtime victory. After being held scoreless through one quarter, the Jayhawks closed the game, outscoring the Mountaineers 55-28. The Jayhawks are 2-0 on the young season and are currently in first place in the Big 12. What a time to be alive. Jalen Daniels had quite the game for Kansas as he threw for 200 yards with 3 passing touchdowns while leading the team on the ground with 85 rushing yards. I'm not certain whether or not this Kansas team is legit. Most likely not. But it's not every year that they are in sole possession of first place in the Big 12, so let's just enjoy it while we can. Wake Forest put an end to Vanderbilt's perfect season as they defeated them by 20 points. The biggest winner, though, is actually quarterback Sam Hartman, who returned to the field after missing last week with a medical issue. I wasn't even sure if Hartman would play at all this season, but he suited up for the Demon Deacons. Not only did he suit up, he was excellent for them. He threw for 300 yards with 4 passing touchdowns. This is a Wake Forest team who can go far in the ACC this season if they have a healthy Sam Hartman. So having him return so soon and show he's still an elite quarterback is massive for them moving forward. This was a late addition to my list as this game didn't end until 11:30 p.m. my time. Number 21 BYU took down number 9 Baylor in double overtime. The Cougars had 2 chances to win this game as their kicker missed the game-winning field goal at the end of regulation and then another one in the first overtime. Luckily for them, they were still able to pull off one of the biggest wins of the entire college football season. Jaron Hall put this team on his back, especially late in the game, as he threw for 260 yards with a touchdown pass. He also had some big moments on the ground as well. The Cougars defense stepped up big time, holding the Bears to under 3 yards per rushing attempt on a total of 52 carries. I've talked about this BYU team a lot over the last few months, but I said they were a team that we need to keep an eye on this season. They've been one of the winningest teams over the last few years across all of college football, and they have a number of top 25 matchups ahead on their schedule this year. I'm not saying that they're going to be a playoff team, but based on how their schedule looks, I wouldn't be shocked to see BYU crack the top 8 in the coming weeks. Well, those are my 10 winners from this weekend. Which team do you think was the biggest winner overall? Was there a team who really surprised you that should have been on this list? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comment section below. Before you leave, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.